Adam Post, Half-Speed Tucci, publisher of College of the Dead, 30-year veteran of making comic books, publishing stories, and doing fun stuff. And tonight, on Comicsgate tonight, I have Vinnie from City of Venus. Vinnie, how's it going?
Hey, old brother. Hey, my friend.
All right.
I think I just $9,000.
Fantastic. City of Venus. We will take a look at that right now. $9,000. All right. We'll click refresh. Yes, 9160. People are throwing away their money on City of Venus. Way to go. Yeah, everybody keep back in City of Venus. 4 hours left on City of Venus. It's a very exciting time for City of Venus Dead City. I remember when this thing was first launched. It was seems like it was a long time ago, but it really wasn't. It's really coming along. And Vinnie, it's your third campaign. It's really exciting. Everybody's really, really happy for you. Love your attitude and they love your work, man. You are total Comicsgate. Thanks,
brother. Comic. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Yeah, because that's what I need, man. A bigger audience, pretty much, because those first two campaigns, not too many people knew about me, but now they do. So I'm happy about that.
Fantastic. All right. We also, aside from me and the amazing Vinnie T, we also have, I like to call them Los Hermanos Magicop, the Magicop brothers, the men of Zaid Comics, who have launched the incredible, interesting 80s fantasy cop comic show. Magicop.
All the buzzwords.
That's right.
Yeah, all the important words. That is, that's our guys, Phil and Brandon. Phil, how are you doing?
Good. Just working hard on this campaign, getting stuff done, pushing it out.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? It's this is the first campaign you guys launched, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Right. So you know, once you kind of get into this, you see what it's like, and you sort of knew what it was going to be like, but not really completely, because it's crazy time, right?
Yep, that is true.
Where's Magicop up to so far? Let's just take a quick look. Magicop is at 1163. You guys right away had someone that took your Elliot Fernandez cover, and then my prediction was that his wife found out and banged him over the head.
I guess.
Yeah.
It does happen. Vinnie, you've gotten cancellations before, right?
Oh yeah, it happens every now and then.
It's amazing because you're sort of like, well, what the hell is this? What did I say? Who did you see me on this show, or they don't like this?
Yeah.
Or that? Yeah. People change their minds sometimes, or sometimes they like your thing, but then they see something else that they really have to have, or people don't even keep their bills properly a lot of times, so people don't even realize they have bills coming up, and they go from one thing to another, and like, oh man, I have to cancel this and get this and do that and whatever, and but then other guys come in all over the place.
Oh yeah, that thing's gonna sell for sure. Elliot is way too good of an artist to leave that thing sitting around.
Yeah, I have been admiring Elliot's work for about 6 months. He did some really amazing Wolverine piece on Drawn and Quartered. He's done his Doom Kickers book is a great book and did really well.
Yeah,
he's really, really talented. So yeah, his original art is not going to be sitting around. The only reason I don't have a lot of Elliot Fernandez work gracing my publications is he ain't cheap. So you guys must have made a great deal, and it's going to pay off big for you guys, I'm sure, because he does have people that follow his work. There's no question about it.
Definitely, yeah. And tomorrow we're actually going to show off the colored version of that cover.
Oh, nice!
So
it looks so good.
Yeah, I would definitely describe it as radical.
That's the. Oh, well, it would fit the whole 80s motif.
That's right.
Fantastic. And where I'm at with College of the Dead ain't bad either. I'm pretty happy. We have 3 days left.
Yeah.
I remember laughing just a couple of days ago, like, oh, wow, we got 69 backers. That's the sexiest number of backers. And then now it's up to 74 backers, which is great. I'm on a flexible goal, so I'm good to go either way. When we hit 1,000, for me, that was enough. But we definitely want to hit the goal, all means possible, and get to that 5,000 at least. So we have the in-demand store going, which would be cool because, it's one of the things. Like I was looking at my friend Mike's campaign here for Samurai and Dinosaurs, and if you look, he finished his campaign on April 1st, and I haven't even seen him around that much. He's starting to talk about a new campaign he's doing, but in the last few months, I haven't even seen him. And obviously, he's done another $2,300 in sales just having the thing up. So it's really well worth it. It's really well worth it to get your in-demand store rocking.
Definitely.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, Vin, tell us your experience.
Campaign. So I think I pulled in almost another $1,000 after it kind of closed, after the main one closed. So yeah, just being in demand. It's a very good thing. People will see you. They're going to want to see what your other campaigns are. So they'll go back and buy more.
They do. They find it. They find your other campaigns. But also, we're on all sorts of videos that people might play one time or another, or they see an old tweet or whatever the heck. We're around. A lot of us have spent time, being on shows and stuff like that. People do find it. So, guys, look, we're not going to do a super late night stream, but what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about this Spider-Man story that everybody's talking about. I don't know if you guys had heard of this yet. I did a video on this earlier because Data Racer 177, I think, or 117. He showed some evidence of some shady stuff going on with Disney. Because you guys are on Twitter all the time. You're always doing the campaigns and stuff.
Yep.
Have you guys seen like the Save Spider-Man hashtag going around?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So this guy Data Racer pointed out that there's like a bot army going around with this Save Spider-Man. That there are tons and tons of identical tweets coming from what he calls crooked Disney ops. I mean, I haven't done like a massive investigation, but it's amazing because any of these big companies, they could just hire a social media company and then send out tons and tons of tweets and get stuff trending to quote Save Spider-Man.
Sure.
So basically, I don't know. What's funny is there's a friend of mine that's in movie stuff. I was talking to him a little earlier, and I was like, "So you heard of? What do you think about the Spider-Man thing?" He's like, "I haven't even heard of that. What the hell's going on?" It's funny because on Twitter, stuff happens so quick, and we know about stuff immediately the second it happens. But you guys have pretty much heard that Sony wanted a 50-50 deal for all future Spider-Man stuff, right?
Oh wow! All right. Yeah, I knew there was something going on with their dealings.
So basically what was going on between Sony and Disney was obviously Disney allowed Sony to have Spider-Man be in their Avengers movie. Spider-Man's been in a couple of the movies. Spider-Man also got some help from Kevin Feige, who is a Marvel's kind of like Jim Shooter of movies. And is in charge of the whole aesthetic. So he helped to produce at least 2 Spider-Man movies. And what Disney has been doing is very recently they've been negotiating with Sony and saying, hey, look, so we want to change our deal with you guys. We want to change our deal to so their normal deal is like 5% of revenue would go to Marvel for licensing purposes. So if a Spider-Man movie from Sony does $500 million, $25 million would go to Disney as a royalty. So what Disney has been saying is like, well, we kind of helped you relaunch Spider-Man now, and we gave you exposure. So what we want to do is, all future movies, you need to do 50-50 splits with Disney, 50-50 profit splits. And the other thing that that happens with that is they want control. That's what they're after. They don't want, stuff going on with Venom and Spider-Man and, female Spider-Man and Morbius the Living Vampire is another one that's actively being done by Sony now. They don't want to not have control of that, especially when you have all the social justice warrior Spider-Man, not Spider-Man, but social justice warrior superhero stuff coming out from Marvel now. They're completely changing up the makeup of what they're doing with all these, weird socialist, whatever they're thinking. The last thing they need. Funny. Yeah, go ahead, Vin.
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny because I called it because I know that the contract Far From Home shit's gonna hit the
Really?
fan, and it's gonna hard. What was gonna happen? Disney's greedy, and since they've been fudging the numbers, if you saw, there's like that's kind of misplaced.
Yeah, they're like, well, where'd that
Yeah,
$6 billion go?
This is funny because
yeah,
this is like, we saw this with Captain Marvel, where there were, accounts of people saying that there were empty theaters were sold out,
Yep.
and the theory was that Disney was buying seats digitally and, not filling them just so it could, pad the numbers because it's so important to them.
yep.
So
And-
having these bots.
They
Yeah, go ahead, man.
so the fan. If you noticed when they went to San Diego Comic-Con, there was no Captain Marvel sequel announced. Now, if she made $1 billion legit, how come they didn't jump on it right away? Because they know it's not legit.
You want to know something?
That's true.
That did not occur to me, and I've heard nobody else talk about that. Not one person. Yeah, why would they not announce a sequel if it made $1 billion, the first female movie?
Yeah,
exactly.
That makes about zero sense.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and they keep saying like, "Oh, well, she's going to be a big part of the future of the Marvel." It's like, all right, so when are you doing the next 3 sequels? Because as soon as like Black Panther came out and it was a hit, they were talking sequel immediately, weren't they?
Oh yeah,
yeah, definitely.
And now what they're doing Black Panther is it's not even necessarily going to focus on the main male character. It's going to take the new approach for them is they take the brand and they spread it among a number of different characters, I guess, to be inclusive or something. I don't know. I don't know what the heck they're doing, but it really does feel like the last. Yeah, I mean, like if you watched Venom looks like a movie that like maybe Todd McFarlane would have made. Like, just leave him alone. He would have just done it. It just like
it's fun.
It was fun. There was definitely violence in it. You can't see that being a Disney movie.
No.
And you get that one action hero, and now that I think about it, Black Panther was more of a team movie than a Black Panther movie.
They don't
like
want to.
Black Panther.
I remember watching I think it was the first Star Trek movie. That was the reboot Star Trek movie, and I guess Spock was going after the villain. I guess it was Khan, who to compare that Khan to Ricardo Montalban is insane. But everyone was like, "Oh, he's an amazing Khan." It's like, what? But anyway, all right. So he was so then you had like Spock going to get him, but he couldn't go without his girlfriend. His girlfriend had to help. It was
yeah.
You saw that too, Vin? You were like, you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I'm watching this. It's like, oh, but he can't do it himself. His bae gotta go. His bae gotta be there. Like, all right, come on.
Bae's got to be all over it.
Yeah. Hold up, Spock. I'll be right there. Wait a minute. You're not gonna get on your side. Like, all right, hold on. Yeah, honey, let's go get him. We'll go get the guy together.
Well, that's why I was going back to. I think it's a beautiful thing because now they have a starting off point. Just that Sony's doing it by themselves from what happened with the Marvel movies, who's in Avengers and all that. The other thing that also that last movie, you guys all saw it or Far From.
Yeah.
That whole thing of their exposing.
Yeah, exposing Spider-Man. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was 100% a power play. That was saying, hey, we know this is our last movie. We got to go back into negotiations. So now we have Sony bent over. That's what that was. That's 100% what that was.
Vinny, how did Sony beat their asses?
Oh, because they said, you know what, we really don't need you, and they looked at what happened. They saw all the BS with Captain Marvel, and they go, well, Avengers Endgame was pretty much the last good movie, because now what happened? You have Iron Man's dead, Captain America's an old man and retired, Thor they're throwing away and they're making him cucked. Yeah, I mean, like, it's screwed, right? So who do they have left? They
what are
don't
they
have
going to be
anyone.
left with?
Exactly. They have nothing. They have Doctor Strange, which will be, I think, one of their few movies that'll still make really good money because people still love Doctor Strange. Scarlet Witch is
Doctor
going to
Strange
be
is
in it.
cool.
Yeah, she's a huge player and still a fan favorite on all sides. So yeah, Scarlet Witch and him, that's going to be a fine movie. I think Black Panther sequel will still probably be good because I think they said they're going to put Namor in it as the main villain.
That's right.
So now you have those elements, right? And that's it. I think Black Widow, she's past her prime. Making this movie, I think is just going to lose them money, to be honest.
Well, they just killed Black Widow. So which Black Widow is this going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be some kind of a prequel. No one really cares.
Well, there was that information that came out that said that they were going to use the successor to Black Widow. I don't remember what her name was. The successor to Natasha.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another thing that's like, we're going to use your code name like the 007 move.
Yeah,
We'll use your
She's
code name, but you don't have to be the same one. But
Scarlett Johansson's still the star of the movie prequel. Because I know she had blonde hair and she was still doing it. Mm-hmm. And Natasha was still around as well. I know they did that for a while. But yeah, they're gonna have to a new person taking the mantle, I guess. But
you can imagine the conversation. Could you imagine, guys, the conversations? Because obviously, when Sony's negotiating, creative comes up. I mean, they're discussing business, but it's got to also be that Marvel is sitting across from them saying, "Listen, you understand, we're moving in a certain direction with Marvel and with the Marvel heroes. Spider-Man represents Marvel. So you understand you're going to need to cooperate. So we're going to need that trans Spider-Man. We're going to need, a whole bunch of
and I know exactly what Sony said. They went, you know what? We have Venom 2 coming out. Spidey's going to be in it. Yeah. We just won an Oscar for the absolute best Spider-Man movie you're ever going to see, Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
That was well deserved.
That was really well done.
And they said they're going to do a live action Into the Spider-Verse, which means Tobey Maguire, Garfield is going to be back. If that happens, they're going to kill it, man. They are going to kill it.
Yeah.
Not only that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say this partnership with Disney, it was only beneficial for Sony. Now they got a kickstart, and they
got what they wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Venom and Spider-Man interacting, it's going to be crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect for them. That's going to sell so much. And it's so great that Venom did so well, and everyone thought it was going to suck and not do as well as it did. And so now that they have Spider-Man back, and they have him fully, they could use him to his potential. Just my question is are they going to keep Tom Holland,
Well, they say he signed for 2 more, so he has to.
And that's with Sony, then that's great.
Yeah, and they also said that I think they're pushing the Sinister Six now. They're pushing that hardcore. They want that happening. So that we're thinking Venom 2 will be a Tom Holland one, and then they want to do Sinister Six.
And
that's what it looks like.
They could retcon and write out that Spider-Man's identity is out. It could be like a whole Mysterio thing where he made it look like he died and he got away, and no one actually knows who Spider-Man is. He just thinks that.
Right.
Because I love Mysterio, and I'm like, oh man, I really hope he's not actually dead. I hope it's a trick that he comes back in like 2 movies or something.
Yeah, which you know what, I like that idea because they could really slap Marvel and Disney in the face by going, hey, you know what, we're going to reshoot the ending.
Yeah.
And like you said, put that element in.
Mhm.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now they're probably thinking they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And it's just amazing that Marvel, they just spent $70 billion on Fox, but they don't control Spider-Man.
Mhm.
But if they're not in it, like, guys, I don't know if you saw this recently. I don't know if you follow this stuff or not, but so the Business Roundtable, which is like basically pretty much every major U.S. company and probably some international, announced recently, like a couple days ago, they were like, well, we are no longer going to focus only on making profit for shareholders. We're going to have social considerations now. I'll try to look up the article, but I'm like, that they can't do that. They can't just they can't they have shareholders' money and like people have invested money. You talk about like J.P. Morgan is one of them. Chase. It was just like, all right, they have $200 billion of investors' money, like the value of the company, not cash in the bank. And it's like, all right, so you're going to do social concerns and concerns of employees. But basically, it's obviously like, look, we're no longer that interested in being judged on profitable things. We're going to be controlling social change is kind of the idea.
Translation, they want to control the narrative and feed the stockholders BS.
Well, the stockholders, they basically telling the stockholders is, we're not going to be accountable. We're going to do stuff for our own reasons. That's pretty crazy.
Hold on. But they're also saying this by trying to be more social aware, whatever. Like I said, they're trying to control the narrative. They want to show them, oh, yeah, everything's all perfect. Everything about what we're doing. Star Wars, and they destroyed it. They kept trying to blame trolls on the internet.
What they're saying, I'm going to show you guys this. Hold on one sec, brothers. Because this is my little CNBC research. Okay. So the CEOs of nearly 200 companies just said shareholder value is no longer their main objective. So shareholder value basically saying like that, they're going to do business transactions for the purpose of increasing shareholder value, which is either profit or higher assets. So this was obviously became apparent. Like, these guys are not stupid. Disney, Bob Iger under Disney acquired Pixar very, very intelligently. They were competing. They always do this stuff. They start competing with companies and they start trying to figure out like, how do we just screw these guys up or buy them out? So, and the guys from Sony, I don't know them. I don't know the names of the executives and how many years they've been around. I know Sony's had a lot of ups and downs of its own, Sony Pictures. But when they bought Pixar, if you guys remember, they were distributing Pixar's movies first. They were just doing a distribution deal for theatrical distribution. And one of the backdoor things that they did to them, and they totally would have done this to Sony, is even though Pixar said, listen, we want to challenge ourselves creatively, we will not do sequels. Pixar was like, as a company, we will not do sequels. Well, Disney had an option to do sequels if Pixar didn't want to do sequels. So when they distributed Toy Story, Disney started working, Vinny, you probably knew about this. Disney started working on their own sequel to Toy Story.
With Disney Animation Studios?
Yeah, with their own. Yeah, they started working. And that drove Steve Jobs fucking crazy and drove the rest of them fucking crazy. Because they're like, wait a minute, you're gonna completely screw up Toy Story. Disney's like, hey, we would just love to do a sequel with you. But if you guys don't want to do sequels, look, it's part of our deal. It's worth a lot of money, Got
to read your contracts. Yeah,
read your contracts, guys. So eventually what ended up happening was Disney just put kind of Pixar. Pixar was announcing that they weren't going to they tried playing hardball with Disney, which is, Disney wasn't as big and as successful as they are, now, but they were successful enough. And Pixar tried to say, well, we'll do a distribution deal with Warner Brothers or Universal. And sure, you can bang out our properties if you want to, but ultimately they couldn't pull it off. So Disney wound up acquiring Pixar for $10 billion. And when they acquired Pixar, it was like, holy shit. You know, that was a really big, slick deal that they did. And then I think, they had a whole bunch of acquisitions and other things since then. But they acquired Marvel, I think, just a few years later for $4 billion. And I was looking at that like, oh my God. I mean, how do you not? That is so freaking cheap. But they made out. They did great. They got a hold of Marvel. At that point, I was like, well, are they going to use like Pixar? Or are they going to just like create a series of animated Marvel movies, which, nobody ever did? Isn't that weird that Into the Spider-Verse was the first, Marvel?
Time out. I've been saying this for the longest time. That's the only thing that's going to save Marvel's ass is when they do that, because fans are going to be pretty much screaming it from the rooftops. Give us back the characters the way that we always loved them. So they're going to have to do, like, let's say for X-Men, do the Dark Phoenix saga the proper way. The proper way would be in animation. You know what I mean? Once they start doing that, I think that will save their asses. But they also have a pride thing, though. That's the problem. They think the MCU, their films, are still going to be the top dogs. So once they start to get gigantic bombs, like the Eternals, if that bombs like on a huge scale, and they have to have a couple of those to happen, then they're going to have to rethink it, and then they're going to be looking back, years into the future. Now they're going to be looking backwards, going, you know what? Sony got an Oscar when they did Spider-Man for Best Animated Film. Maybe we should be doing that, But at that point, Kevin Feige should be fired, and someone else should be taking the reins, because I think that's what's going to happen ultimately.
You have to imagine that that's what's good. It's like when things work, sometimes you start thinking like, all right, well, this works. It works. It works. So that means anything I do is going to work. It's like, no, it doesn't mean anything you do is going to work. It means when you do the stuff that works and you stick with what works, it'll keep working. Mm-hmm. It does not mean, just because you start, having some success, that just you're going to be able to change, the entire culture to start loving these washed out, heartless superheroes, especially replacing the ones we love with them.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too, the way that Hollywood works, people seem to forget it. When you're riding on top, everyone loves you. But as soon as you start to get those bombs, they want to forget about you. So like I said, that guy, Kevin, he's being praised right now nonstop until this wave 4 happens. And you just see bomb after bomb.
Ethan Van Sciver talks about how brilliantly Feige worked Captain Marvel into the Avengers universe and the Avengers like property, so that putting that Captain Marvel movie in between those two Avengers movies, the Avengers really built her up enough that some people would feel they had to go see that the movie she was in, and then they would, and then she got kind of sandwiched into the Avengers, which is so horrific to take all this continuity and all these stories they did and just shoot some scenes with this girl in there. Like, she was never a part of it.
Sorry, you could see it. You could see that the Russos hated her. That's why she was barely in the movie. And the best part of the movie is when Thanos took off that power ring and the screen.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm so happy. It was so badass too. And I was forced to watch the Captain Marvel movie. And the continuity in that movie compared to the rest of the MCU is totally out of whack. They're calling Shield in the 90s, when in Iron Man 1 they didn't even have the name Shield, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
What's up with that? It was dumb.
Yeah. It was wedged.
Yeah, they did it. Like you said, throughout the picture, they were doing stuff like that because it was forced.
Yeah, but little continuity flubs to make things work, and people be like, you're not going to really remember. Yeah. That is a terrible slippery slope.
I remember.
They should not. No, they really shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
When Marvel was, look, in the 80s, I was a kid in the 80s buying those Marvel comics, in my early and mid-teens and stuff when Jim Shooter was at the helm, and continuity was taken so seriously because he had inherited that. Mm-hmm. And things happened at a certain time and they made sense when they happened, and everybody's stories like linked up and stuff. And also there was a look and feel to Marvel Comics, so you didn't get this sense of like it's all over the place. Even the aesthetics of what a Marvel comic was, it was consistent across the line, even though obviously stories and artists were different. And then once he left, and then you had super talents like Todd McFarlane coming in, doing his own thing, selling tons of books, but totally doing his own thing, then a Todd McFarlane comic wasn't comparable to someone else's comic or someone else's comic. Then the continuity started to slip away.
It's like you said, it started to slip away because Shooter was still around when Todd was there, and that's the one thing they were making sure that continuity was still staying in there. But now here's what the problem is. Like you said, then over time he left, and other people just didn't give a shit, and the fall started happening. Well, the same thing is happening now with the MCU. So look back to the team that did 1, 2, Civil War, and both the Avengers movies. Those are all the same guys, and they made sure the continuity was going to stay. That's why they made happy. They knew what they were. That we have Spider-Man, put him in there. They made sure it all flowed the proper way. Now you had something like Captain Cardboard, where essentially, I think it was a female writing team. Wasn't it a female director too? I think. I don't know 100%, but I know that they were trying to check. Yeah.
I remember seeing an interview. I bet it was because I remember seeing an interview with the Black Panther directors who also wrote it, and they're like, "Yeah, the entire team was African American." It's like, all right, well, who cares? Just be competent or not. That's
the thing.
It doesn't matter what your skin color is, because the other problem is you can't give feedback to people.
Yeah,
Captain Marvel had 2 directors. One was a female, one was a male.
Okay.
And the writers were female, all right?
Probably.
Because that's what I said. They're checking off boxes, like Adam was saying with Black Panther. They're basically being racist, and they're trying to say because we have these specific people in those positions, it's going to be a fantastic movie. Wrong. You have to get the right people for the job. And the thing is, if you want to keep continuity, then you also have to talk to the writers who are connecting the entire universe. They didn't do that.
The writers, it says, were all female except for that male director. Also did some story and screenplay with a bunch of females.
Yeah, continuity. Like we had continuity in. We did the Triumphant Comics line. We did about 50 issues of it, and it was a line of science fiction color comics. The continuity aspect of making a bunch of comics is hard because you have to keep track of everything, but you have to go and fight with the creative teams as well and make them take it really seriously. And it's just a lot of extra work for everybody, but it adds an extra quality to the whole thing that is really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. It adds a whole dimension. But yeah, someone has to really want to do all that work and see the value in it. That you have to go and fight with people over it.
Yeah, you need that passion.
Building your checks and balances.
Yeah, there's no time for that, and it'll be interesting to see what happens to Kevin Feige, because he just threw in that Blade announcement this past Comic-Con, and and then he said he was asked, "Oh, is that coming in Phase 4?" And he's like, "No, it'll be after Phase 4." So he just threw that in just to highlight it, just to get the sympathy of the people, and then he comes out and says it's not going to be R-rated. He's like, it's going to be the best PG-13 movie, Blade movie.
Oh my God!
How could you do Blade when the originals are such cult classics? And like when I was a kid and Blade came out, I was really young, but we saw Blade. Yeah. And I was super into Blade, man. I dressed up as Blade. Didn't do blackface for Halloween, but I dressed up as Blade.
You have pictures?
My mom must have.
Ask
It was
your
the
mom.
Blade 2 costume, and it was like this pleather fake trench coat that had one sleeve cut off.
I'm sure it's in the closet over there.
Oh yeah, it's probably in my room right now. Blade was so cool. I loved those movies, and it was cool because of the blood and the graphics, and
Yeah,
it's
it was an
awesome.
entertaining movie.
Super entertaining.
That's
Yeah.
just what it was about. It was about entertaining, not trying to, teach any lessons or, get back at anybody or anything like that. Just classic 90s entertaining action.
Great music. I can think of the music now.
Yeah, and
Wasn't that technically the first Marvel movie that was made?
yeah, I think
I
so.
don't-
I
Under
believe it
Marvel
was.
Studios, probably.
Maybe
Well-
by Marvel.
There was
No. Well, the first one for Marvel Studios was, I think, the Hulk and Iron Man. But I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
in
Iron
like
Man was
modern
Marvel
times.
character. Yeah,
Well,
Wasn't there like that
yeah,
I could see
garbage
it.
Captain
sorry.
America movies?
those old ones.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I'm saying what kickstarted like the superhero trend again was I believe it was Blade and then X-Men and Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But yeah, Blade was definitely the first.
And like the only thing that I really wanted to happen if like Sony ever just got swallowed up by Disney is to do a Morbius Blade Spider-Man crossover. So I think that would be a perfect way to get
So
Blade
good.
into the MCU if they were going to do that. Now they're not going to do that because Sony's got Spider-Man back.
Well, putting Blade in the MCU, I mean, they'll throw them together. I actually have this article up: Disney grappling with Deadpool and the Avengers, and if they want to stick, Deadpool with the Avengers, so like you just flip a switch and boom, he's there.
Yeah.
Doing wacky, crazy stuff. Deadpool 2 was fun. It was fun. It had surprises in it. Had some great violence in it. Deadpool really is. It's just he's an amazing character.
Absolutely.
But the way they're going to deal with it in the Avengers apparently is he's not going to be as nuts. He's not going to be as nuts in the Avengers when he's hanging out with them as
and it's not going to work.
in his own movies.
Yeah,
You can't go back.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. The way I read Deadpool in the comics, I'm not a huge Deadpool, like solo Deadpool fan in his own comic, but I think he really shines in those team elements where he could be his wacky self. Like there's this awesome run by Rick Remender on the Uncanny X-Force. It's like the X-Men's hit squad, and Deadpool, he's in the gray costume, and he is so awesome in there, just bouncing off of whether it's Wolverine or Phantom X, who's so cool, or Archangel, just playing off those characters, and he has his time to shine in there, and he could be Deadpool, and it's not overbearing because sometimes even in like Deadpool 2, there were some times where it's like, okay, Deadpool, we got you. Sometimes you go a little too far, but you throw him into a R-rated movie that could be even just a regular X-Force, with Cable, and you make it that darker side of the X-Men, because in the comic, Cyclops is pissed that he doesn't know that X-Men has this hit squad that's the X-Force, and you can get that play off of them.
You could do a lot of Deadpool and Wolverine, right? I mean,
sure.
Why the heck
had a
not?
good Wolverine.
Yeah.
If you have,
Now it's going to be an all new Wolverine. There's so many things that they screwed up time wise, but I'm happy we still got 2 fantastic Deadpool movies because now the rest of it's going to be shit. Again, like this, like Brad saying too. He goes, "Why would he hang out with the Avengers at all at this point?" Exactly. Why would he?
Maybe
it doesn't make any fucking sense.
He's a
make the X-Men
mercenary.
jealous. That's the only I don't know. But
it makes
we saw the
zero
action
sense.
but the story in Deadpool 2, I was completely fine with what they did. Like, with him trying to run around with the X-Men and whatnot, he seemed fine. And the thing I liked most about Deadpool was his relationship with his girlfriend. That was well done. I like that.
It was really well done.
I mean, maybe I'm just too simple or sappy or something, but
no, it worked.
He died, and then he's going through the thing to the membrane to be with his girlfriend and not yet. And I'm like, that's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was cool. There was a fan theory after Deadpool 1 came out that his girlfriend, in the comics, notoriously Deadpool is in love with death, the manifestation of death.
Okay.
And it's kind of a tragic story because he can't die, and so he can never be with her. And it's the same death that Thanos is in love with and is sought after. But
Oh, wow.
there's a theory that Vanessa in the first movie, she was secretly going to be Death because she didn't seem that phased when he gets diagnosed with cancer and these things happen. So you could kind of twist it where she kind of wanted him to die so they could be together.
Well, you know something though. All right, so this is going a little bit off topic, but it's actually not that far. That is interesting, and probably they do something like this if they were serious about doing cool stories. When we,
Yeah.
All right, so in the Triumphant Comics universe, I created something. I created a property called Dr. Chaos, and Dr. Chaos had lived in a different dimension, and he got energy from creating chaos. So I kind of related this to myself because I used to. I was in charge of everything, so things would change from time to time. You get a little chaotic based on me. But we also had a character called Sex. We had our own death character, and these would be other dimensional beings that derived energy and sustenance from things that happened on our earthly plane. So there would be characters that would cause wars, that would cause romance, that would cause fear and other different things like that. And you could almost think like if there's that death character that's seducing Thanos and seducing Deadpool or whomever else, that is just kind of another being or another force in the universe that is causing people to do different things and act different ways. And who knows what people are actually, who knows what on this earth we are being seduced by to do what, the ideas that come in our heads. Sure. So well, maybe we'll reprint the Dr. Chaos stuff. That stuff, we did 6 or 7 issues of that series, and the writer did a lot of other interesting, strange things with it. And I don't know how else to describe it, but yeah, I'll have to collect it, and then you guys will read it and you'll talk about it. But there's interest, and the other dimensional stuff is very cool. You can do that and still have continuity, and then just relate these things that are just happening, but in a different place.
Right.
But what interesting movies.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying though. With all this stuff, I think they missed the boat on a lot of things, and now at this point, it doesn't matter having Deadpool in the MCU whatsoever, because the characters that he's known for interacting with, they're not in the MCU anymore. So who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And it's gonna be way too long before they finally get to the X-Men, and at that point, Ryan Reynolds, I don't know if he's gonna be up for doing it anymore.
They might,
because let's face it, he's not a spring chicken anymore.
They'll probably be governmentally dissolved by that point, so where they won't own it.
Spider-Man leaving the MCU is kind of like the UK leaving the EU. It's like the Spider-Man Brexit.
Yeah,
no shit.
That could really, I think it really screws with their plans. At Marvel.
Absolutely.
I think they're going to have serious problems.
Well, again, this is what happens when you have a lot of ego in the room. And that guy Kevin, he's got a lot of ego in the room because he thinks he's got nothing but hit after hit after hit. And Captain Cardboard, to me, wasn't a hit. It was padded, the box office. Fans hate her. You have an audience who loves her, which is an audience, but they are not the numbers that they're claiming. No fucking way.
I think anybody that loves Captain Marvel is very flighty, and they'll just be attracted to something else in 2 seconds. These are not the kind of people that are like talk about Spider-Man 30 years after they started reading the comic. It's not those kinds of people.
It's the cosplay girls. That's what it is.
Just one of the things, just I thought this was really interesting. This came out a couple of weeks ago, but so there's this announcement that Disney stock went down a little bit as they had missed expectations despite box office hits, right? So this is, to me, this is where the missing Captain Marvel money had to have gone. Yes. So Disney's analysts, and we talk about Disney, they are independent guys that work, for different finance companies and stockbrokers or whatever, and they're watching Disney stock, and they're trying to figure out how well Disney's going to do every 3 months to make pay for. There are people that pay for that research, so that they can make good decisions about investments. So one of the things that the analysts look at is box office reports. Mm-hmm. So the analysts came up with a common consensus of $4.656 billion of what they thought Disney would do in that third quarter, in the third quarter's financial results.
Yeah. And
that was part of Captain Marvel and the Avengers and Toy Story. And it was interesting to watch people talking about this on the business channels, because they came out with an actual reported revenue of $3.86 billion during the period. So they're short like $700 million. So Disney was trying to explain it away by saying, well, we had this problem with integrating Fox, which is like, all right, but what the hell does that have to do with anything? Literally nothing. Because where they get the box office estimates from are not like they're watching Comic Artist Pro Secrets and Ethan is saying like, I bet you it doesn't even break 100 million. It's not that. They go and they look at what Disney reported and what the theaters reported the activity actually was.
And things don't line up.
Things don't fucking line up. They don't line up. And there's one way that they might not line up. One would be just the theaters aren't reporting accurate numbers. Or two, Disney is buying a tremendous amount of promotional tickets, which they did. Apparently, like the first two rows of every theater or something for like every show were bought out through Fandango.
Right.
So those would be this would tie together. This would be reported, and none of this is illegal. It's just that the box office reports are not official reports for stock purposes, just for analysts to judge or for the public to see. Oh, Captain Marvel did $1.1 billion. Yeah, sure it did, because Disney probably bought $300 or $400 or $500 million worth of the tickets. God only knows how much.
Do they own Fandango? They
have the guy who is it Fandango or is it Box Office Mojo? Frankly, I don't know who owns Fandango. I know the guy who runs Box Office Mojo was a former Disney executive.
Hold on, it was Rotten Tomatoes was the one that they had.
Right. Rotten Tomatoes. They have a Disney executive in there, and they changed their policy about commenting on the movies.
What a large!
If that's not obvious enough. But if they don't own it, they coordinate with it. But to Fandango, all that Fandango does is sell tickets. Mm-hmm. So when some promotional division of Disney writes them a check for $50 million plus whatever other business they're normally doing, what's the difference? Disney was saying they were going to do this whole promotion where girls were going to be given tickets.
Yeah,
if you recall. So
it was
over that very loudly.
Yeah. Ellen DeGeneres donated a bunch of money to send girls to see the movie.
To Captain Marvel. Yeah. So stuff like that is just kind of you make an announcement that you're doing that, and then you charge off whatever you charge off $100 million to it, whatever the heck you're doing. But it shows up in box office numbers. But when it comes to SEC reporting, they can't say that they can say that they derived revenue from those theater ticket sales, but they can't exclude the expenses. And that's where you see a differential of several $100 million of, hey, what the hell's going on? And they probably did it with a couple of other movies just so that it all wasn't just falling on Captain Marvel. But as you can see, like from the other whistleblower, this is exactly what like the whistleblower was talking about when the whistleblower was saying, hey, Nah, it's a different one. Disney had the story about the whistleblower real quick was this: $6 billion supposedly misallocated for 1 year from Disney from their theme parks, and what they were doing was they were heavily discounting their gift cards and their passes and stuff, and they were accounting for them as if they were sold at 100 cents on the dollar when they were sold at like 40 cents on the dollar. So their revenue reported at $10 billion that year should have really been reported at closer to $4 billion. But they can bury this stuff in their financial documents, and there's never a shortage of, at that scale. There's never a shortage of cash.
That damn mouse.
The mouse is up to all sorts of stuff. That's why Sony is looking at this. Sony's like, wait, what do you want to do? Because if they have 50-50 partnerships, and also like Sony was saying, like, hey, you guys have your deal where you just acquired Fox. You have enough of your own properties to keep track of. So you wouldn't get the Spider-Verse handled by their best guy with all of his attention anyway. You would get 2 or 3 people down the row, and it's like, here's Mary Sue. She's now in charge of the Spider-Verse for you. And remember, we're putting in half the money. And remember, we are Marvel. And remember, you don't want to get into, once you're dealing with people, they could tie up the whole Spider-Verse with lawsuits if they wanted to.
Don't worry, your check will be in the mail, Sony. We sent it last week.
We're handling the accounting. Oh, by the way, you understand we now have this new streaming service, so we can't really pay quite as much as we otherwise would have paid.
Your money was absorbed.
Right. We had a small loss due to the streaming service. Your share is this. So we charge this against your 50% profit. But don't worry, we control all the money. Yeah, Sony is they're pretty smart to keep their distance. And hopefully Disney doesn't figure out some leverage where they actually are stuck. Sony is stuck working with them.
Well, they don't have anything. That's what they thought with that leverage, as silly as it is, to end the movie like they did, because they think, oh, now we have the ball. There's nothing you can do about it. So we're going to do the 50-50 split. Otherwise, go ahead, try to make your movie and explain this.
Well, Comic Book News had a story about this, where what Disney is going to try to do now is potentially cancel. Check this out: cancel Spider-Man and Venom, so that
the books themselves.
To cancel the comic.
That's not going to happen. Sorry.
Hey, it's all rumors. It's all rumors.
Been huge for them lately, and also they have like 9 Spider-Man books.
All right, maybe this is not super credible. The rumor comes from TVO, Lord of the Long Box YouTube channel.
Hold on, Adam, hold on. I have to tell you, the #1 selling character in the world with all merchandise, you name it, is Spider. No way Marvel Comics is going to take a hit like that, because Spider-Man is still one of their top selling books. No fucking way.
Yeah, but it's like dealing with China. It's like, are they going to let Hong Kong fall apart? It's like, or not. But and Hong Kong's very important to them, but control is even more important. When money isn't important, the only thing that's important is power. The only reason we care about money is because it gives us power and we have to live. But these guys have so much money, they're really just concerned about power. And now, I have to tell you, I've been interested in business and finance since the 1980s, even as a teenager. I've never seen companies come out and say anything remotely near, well, we're not going to be focused just on shareholder value. We're going to be focused on other issues. Like, you can't say that's not even allowable. No. I hope Trump does something about that, because that's absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, I would agree with you. It would make no sense. It was really shocking, though, like when they canceled the X-Men. They fucking canceled the X-Men for a while.
Well, time out. Those books were pretty fucked up to begin with. But don't forget, too, what's happening now. They hired Jonathan Hickman, and I know him personally. For him to come back, they threw mountains of money at him to fix the X-Men. And right now, it's their #1 selling books, because they had to revamp the entire X-Men, because they know that things were getting fucked up. I know they tried to cancel them to hurt Fox and all those deals and all that shit. They did the same thing with Fantastic Four. but it doesn't matter because those books weren't doing great to begin with back then.
Yeah.
Right now, business-wise, if you take Spider-Man off the board, you took the rest of the dying market. You took them off the board too.
Yeah, because Spider-Man supports like probably 25 other titles, right?
Not only that, dude, the comic stores are going to be closing in fucking 10s and 20s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just going to be a certain number by the end of the year. It's going to be it's going to be scary. The industry is going to fucking completely fall apart, if you ask me. You take him off the board, yeah, then it's done even quicker.
And
At least 20
properties.
Yeah, 20 times quicker. It's done.
They really thought they had Sony over a barrel.
They over something so stupid. You know what I mean?
No, it's because it's not stupid for Marvel. You know, they want to, you know, you do a distribution deal with them like Pixar did. All they did was a distribution deal.
Hold on. It's greed. It came down to greed is what it came down to. Because they thought they could eventually get Spider-Man back. That wasn't going to happen.
Spider-Man back doing it this way.
Sorry, Sony has too many movies in the works already. They weren't going to let that happen at all. At all. And now they're looking at their plan going, you know what? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It was cool to see Spider-Man with the rest of the MCU, but the rest of the MCU is gone now. We're going to see him interacting with Captain Marvel. No one gives a shit about that. And she's cosmic anyway.
He's going to lend. Yeah, they wanted him to lend credibility, probably, to all this other crap they're doing.
Yeah.
True crap.
And Sony's going, you know what? You made our Spider-Man look even better, is what you did. That's all Marvel did. They made their Spider-Man look even better because now he's going to play back in his own side of the street again. So now you're going to see him again. Finally,
I keep asking this question, and I don't really get. Maybe I just don't get the answer that I want. There's a film producer friend of mine. I keep asking him, like, why doesn't Sony create other characters in the Spider-Man universe? Maybe they're just not allowed to. But
there's 900. It's between 700 and 900 characters that they get to play with. So why would they have to create more?
Yeah, they got a lot of characters. You know, they're talking about doing a Silk movie, which is, you know, a spinoff of Spider-Man. You know, they have a Spider family, and now that they're doing Carnage and Venom, you know, Carnage has some really good storylines with Spider-Man. There's one that came out probably the past 8 years. It's called Carnage USA, and it's great. It could be a low budget movie too. It's about Carnage taking over a small town in like Colorado, and the government sends in a tactical team that is trained to use symbiotes. So the sniper has the symbiote over his arm so he can shoot like this giant caliber rifle and take the impact. One has a dog, and the dog has a symbiote on it, but they can only be deployed in like 24-hour intervals, or the symbiote will become too attached to them, and it's great. And then they go in to try to wipe out Carnage, and then Carnage is too much, so they send in Flash Thompson Venom, who's, you know, tactical Venom.
Yeah,
and then Spider-Man comes in too. It's crazy. Wow. I think they send the Avengers in, and Carnage takes over the Avengers, and the Avengers have to fight. The book's right here. It's awesome. I got a big poster of it on my wall too. It's called Carnage USA. It's a mini-series. I think it's a 5-issue mini-series.
It would work really awesome as a mini-series on some sort of like Netflix or something like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Wow.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing. They have stuff. Sony could actually be the new MCU.
Yeah.
If done right, they could.
Well, I don't think they're going to throw it away. You'd almost have to imagine, like, what if when they were doing all this shit with Marvel, the Sony guys must have been talking about what's going to come next because they knew Marvel is going to make some move on them, and they were just like, all right, they're going to bring, they're going to bring it up. We'll lead them along for a while. Oh, that's cool looking.
Yeah, this is the Avengers go in with Wolverine on the team, and they get taken over by Carnage.
I think I have the first issue somewhere, actually.
It's great. It's and the covers are awesome. I mean, look at this cover.
Yeah,
Carnage as Uncle Sam.
Masterpiece.
Yeah. That's Clayton Crane, right?
I don't know.
I think that is.
Yeah, I didn't realize they had 700 characters. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, the Spider-Man universe is gigantic. That's why they didn't really need Marvel. The thing they needed them for is, again, to make Tom Holland, that Spider-Man, very credible. They wanted Marvel to essentially build it the right way for them.
Mhm.
You know?
George Washington Carnage.
That's some sneaky shit. That's great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I got a feeling that Sony they were playing the right card.
I mean, for the right
They
deal,
really
they
are.
might do something, but I don't know what they're going to do with streaming or what they're going to do. Everybody seems, all the media companies have to have some kind of direct to consumer now because it's the only thing that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that too. You have that whole streaming war that's happening between Netflix, Prime, Hulu, all these crazy things. Warner Brothers,
And
HBO.
Disney has control of Hulu, and they have
Yeah,
control of whatever Disney Plus is going to be.
right.
They should easily win, but not if they destroy all their franchises.
Exactly, and not if they upset the fans. And that's the other thing that they're not accounting for.
They're not accounting for that at all.
Well, time out. Well, that's the thing. They didn't learn from Star Wars. They didn't learn. So how could you treat the fans the same way with the Marvel shit? It's not gonna fly. I don't know. That's
See.
my personal take, but yeah.
All right. Let's jump into your campaign again, Vin, because you're supposed to be getting up early, and I don't want to mess up the Vin schedule. And we're going to just do a quick stream tonight. We'll see where City of Venus is. City of Venus is ending soon. It's at 92:20, which is fantastic. 3 hours.
Totally.
Vin, you did a great job on this. You're not extending this, right?
No, but it's going to be in demand. I'm gonna have it in demand, but
in demand.
yeah,
It's
no
great.
extensions.
You're really, really building up your publishing and your connection with your fans. You got 184 backers on this one. I remember when you were doing in the woods. We weren't even tight back then, but it was a while. It feels like it was a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago, right?
Yeah, I've only been doing this for about 5 or 6 months.
In the Twitter world, that's a long time.
Well, that's the thing too, though. Like, I want to make sure, since I know I didn't have the numbers behind me when I started, because like even on Twitter, I only had like 100 and something followers on Twitter because I never really used it. And then when I found out that that's where all the connections and the sales are pretty much made is through Twitter and YouTube, I started growing it, and now I have over 800 followers.
Awesome.
Yeah, you did a great job, and the more we put into this, the more we get out of it, and it's so much fun. We love doing it. We get to meet cool people like you, Vin, and
Thanks,
we appreciate you, and we're definitely going to do this again soon. I just kind of did this as a last minute stream.
Yeah,
but we had a great conversation. I've been wanting to talk with more people that had different ideas and different knowledge about this stuff.
Totally, man, dude. I appreciate it too. Adam, you're always an awesome guy. It's great seeing Phil and Brandon finally talking a little bit with you guys.
The Magic Coppers.
Yeah, dude. Well, and that's the thing too. That's great. Is that we are making new friends. We are meeting new people. And it's working because everyone's retweeting everyone's stuff. Everyone's promoting and pushing.
Yeah, definitely.
I almost that's like one of the first things I do in the morning, or when I get to the computer, I'll start retweeting people like crazy, and then I promote myself because I think that's the best way of doing it. Mm-hmm. It really is.
You just get the word out. That's all. You get the word out. People buy it if they want to buy it.
Yeah,
and if they don't, and it's all good. And then different things are for different people. People are attracted to different things, and if they don't get one campaign, they'll get you on the next campaign, whatever it is.
And like you said, though, people who haven't, like, let's say if they haven't seen the stream tonight, they might see it a couple of weeks from now. And people will go back and they'll look for these campaigns because that's what happened.
The other thing
that's what happened through the woods. And that I'm gonna relaunch that in 2020 as a collected version.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the community. It's so cool. Even just to sometimes collaborate with people. Like we were on the stream, Mandy's stream, and Scott was on there with Door Kickers, and we were kind of talking about how Magic Cop and Door Kickers it's similar. Like they're a team that goes after these monsters, in the real world. Even though the contrast is like our world and Magic Cop, there's a lot, like everybody knows that magic exists. Everybody knows that there's monsters around, and it's kind of the norm. And in his, it's more of like our reality, and behind the curtain is the monsters. So we started talking, and he's got that awesome artist Ted Lehman, and I came up with this idea. I'm like, why don't we do a collaborative pinup shot where there's a monster in the center. Magic Cop and his team are kicking down a door on the left, and the door kickers are kicking down a door on the right. And we'll send that out to backers that back both campaigns.
Very cool.
That's a great thing, man. Absolutely.
So we're getting started on that. Just small stuff like that we could give away to promote each other.
You get different ideas. Scott has a lot of. Everybody has different expertise, and when we collaborate, it's the few things we don't know how to do that somebody else knows how to do, or someone else makes a suggestion or whatever it is. And the other thing with us too is all of us seem to be influencers too, so we all know other people. So just getting more people interested in what you're doing, it does help. It really does help a lot. I've learned so much just launching from this first campaign. I published a lot before, but publishing with social media is a whole different thing, and it's great. It's really fantastic.
I agree.
All right, Vin, I am now commanding you to get some rest. We'll wrap it with the Magic Brothers. All right. You're welcome to hang with us if you want, of course, Vin. You were available for some amount of time.
I am tapping out, but guys, it was awesome. Adam, always fun.
Yes,
like
sir.
I said, hit me up any other time. Let's try to go a little bit earlier next time. But,
you mean like 4 a.m. instead of 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a call at 4 a.m. Make sure you turn your guys off. All right, man.
Have a good one, Vinny. It was awesome meeting you.
Yeah, awesome meeting you guys too. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Take care, man.
Brother.
Bye.
Guys, let's just talk a little Magic Cop action.
Sure.
So people are starting to back. People are asking you questions. John Malin gave you some suggestions. I saw you mentioned as well, Phil. And then you made change to the campaign.
We did some tweaks where we could.
So what was his general feedback on it? What was he saying? Hey, you should try this or try that.
It was kind of like just shipping as a whole.
Okay.
Some things that we just didn't know.
And then we had a pricing structure error. It was just like an inadvertent error when we launched.
Okay.
We didn't change something. And so he was like, he called us out on it and it was like, oh man, we got to fix that. So fortunately it was early enough to where we were able to fix it before there were basically any problems that we couldn't take care of. So
very cool.
Real nice.
Yeah. Malin's great. And he's really generous with the advice, and he's got great ideas. He's very down to earth.
Right. You can't argue with that guy. That guy's super successful. So
no need to argue. No necessity. Yeah, everybody's just trying to help each other. That's all.
Right.
And he's especially trying to help people. Oh, this is so cool. You sold a jacket.
Yeah. That was one of the first things we sold, actually. The first one being that Elliot Fernandez cover, like we said. But yeah, the jacket was maybe like the third or fourth.
Yeah, third or fourth thing.
Yeah.
The jacket is really cool looking. It really is.
Yeah, I can't wait until we
one of a kind thing.
Put it all together, put the logos on there. The person that gets it gets their name embroidered on it. It's going to be like a crew jacket. I think the only other ones, we might make some for ourselves and, our colorist and maybe the guy that made the music track for us.
There's really only going to be a couple of jackets.
Oh, yeah. Maybe like 5, 6, maybe.
That is really cool.
I'm working on the there's the exclusive retailer pack poster. So, if you're a retailer, comic book shop or something like that, I'm doing that one. I'm actually doing right now. I'm drawing the exclusive newsletter tier poster, because if you signed up for the newsletter, then you get like that exclusive tier. So there's a special poster that we haven't shown off yet because I'm currently drawing it.
Yeah,
very cool.
And there's this. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, Vic King, right?
Yeah, Vic is great.
Yeah. Awesome artist. He did the night that we launched. He actually did this amazing fan piece for Magic Cop. And I got it here. Let's see if I could.
I saw it. I think I retweeted it.
Yeah. And he was saying that he wanted to help promote us, and so we're doing this thing. If you use his link, like if you go to his Twitter and click on his version of the Magic Cop link,
Yeah.
and then back using that link, and then shoot him or me some proof that you backed with using that, we'll send you a print of that fan piece for free.
It's a good idea. That's a really
Yeah.
good idea. You got to just try different things, see what works. Ideally, you have something new that's worthy of people retweeting every day or every other day, and that can be hard to do. I've noticed that for myself.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. Let's just
Yeah,
take a
if you
look
want
at
to put that up. And if anyone backs during the stream, we'll send a print of this also, if you guys would like. So yeah, this is
very
Madam Sith.
Dick just keeps getting better and better as time goes on.
Oh yeah,
I like his work.
I want to know how long it took him to do this, because it was like just that night. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was like around
and it's so perfect.
7 p.m. maybe earlier.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, ask him. Ask him. As an artist too, like a lot of guys have different methods of doing stuff, and you can learn so much. But that is very cool.
Yeah, she's a head of the prostitution ring in the city. Madam Sith. She's kind of like this Gorgon Medusa-esque character, and the Magic Cops crew have to take her in for some questioning. We actually had the panel of that he got this like design off of on the campaign near the bottom. It's the page 23 and 24 of the first chapter. So you get a little scene of the team breaking into her lair, which is in the sewers, and then her jumping up on them, which is pretty
Very cool.
badass scene. Yeah, I just love this piece so much. Really
well,
cool.
You guys, you have plenty of time left to get funded, which is great, and you have a very reasonable goal. I went a little too high on my goal, so I admire your sensibleness, because it's good. You don't want to drop out of the algorithm where people aren't backing it. You're too far away from your goal. So with the numbers, it's great. Oh, I see you have a Magic Cop poster behind you. I feel like it's,
this is Pablo's
cool.
cover.
That's very, very cool.
The algorithm thing was crazy because I don't know how that algorithm works, but we were the comic book on the front page of Indiegogo from like anybody that checked. It was super crazy. And then if you went to like just comics, I think we were the second one.
Wow.
The first 2 days, and then the third day we were the third one.
It seems like in the first week, they'll give you some special placement to give you a chance to get picked up by more casual buyers.
Yeah.
And the more activity you have on the account, especially with people buying stuff, the more they'll continue to feature you. You will drop off that if people don't buy stuff, and that's what I found with College of the Dead was, I didn't do a lot of shows in advance. I didn't even have a video, so it just kind of launched, and a few people backed it, but then it was like, wait a minute, nobody's really aware of this and all that, and you have less people browsing Indiegogo for projects than do Kickstarter.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, Phil was just telling me something about that. Somebody had.
It was El Guapo. His Kickstarter did very well, and his Indiegogo didn't do so well.
The Caesar with Chango, but Caesar's friend who also collaborated on the book, does have Kickstarter buddies as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that he kind of pushed it to his people, or she. I don't know if it's a he or she. And Caesar really didn't have those people on backing him up for Indiegogo. But it's a different platform with different customers. There are definitely people that will never back us who back on Indiegogo, who back on Kickstarter. They're just buying stuff on Kickstarter. I remember before I got into publishing even, I was just buying stuff on Kickstarter. I would never consider going to Indiegogo. I'd be like, do they even do comics? And then I'd look at it once or twice and be like, nah, I mean, this is like a few comics on here. It doesn't look like anything. So I think there's a potential for us to also offer stuff on Kickstarter. We just have to kind of figure out how to do it. Caesar did them. El Guapo did them simultaneously, which that I've never seen anybody do them exactly simultaneously. But like Billy Tucci did Kickstarter, that was like wild. Kickstarter did Billy Tucci did Kickstarter with Zombie Sama, and then Indiegogo.
Right.
And that worked pretty well for him because he picked up different audiences. So yeah, I mean, even if it's just a few more $1,000, it'll help, cover costs and get us funded for the next ones.
Definitely. Yeah, everything helps.
Everything helps. Everything helps. Just make sure it's profitable to fulfill it. And well, that's the thing. I mean, it doesn't have to be because there's all these freaking expenses come up.
Sure.
But you guys also checked out that printer. You have printers for short run and all that.
Yeah, we actually talked to a printer today.
Cool.
Who works down the block from us. So.
Oh, excellent. So they can't mess that up.
Yeah.
Or you'll come looking for them.
Yeah, that's true.
Very cool. Just make sure they can ship a lot of the jackets. The jackets are cool.
We actually do the jackets ourselves. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I keep asking you about that, and you keep telling me, and because it's just the jackets are just so freaking interesting. They really are very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool, unique tier to offer, and something, that's like a T-shirt. Is something that a lot of people are going to want, but there's going to be like a very specific niche for that jacket, and I think it works well for not having to produce a million of these jackets. So.
Yeah, if you can just make them, one at a time, and they're solid and good quality, it's damn cool. Yeah. And it's also something worth thinking about to offer to other people. Maybe we do a College of the Dead logo jacket.
Yeah, we were thinking of doing. I mean, if you're talking about like other campaigns and stuff, yeah, definitely that would be awesome.
Yeah.
For ourselves, we were thinking of doing like the classic black members only jacket for non crew members.
Yeah.
So like if that was something that people would be interested in too.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's hard to know. It's definitely a hell of a unique item.
Yeah.
Unique can be very cool.
Oh. And we're talking.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to talk about the add-ons. Like on Malin, he pointed out a few months ago that Indiegogo just came out with a new add-on system where before you had to use like a third-party add-on website, but you could make add-on perks now. So if someone buys the featured perk, which is the book of Magic Op, the 88 pages, plus the behind-the-scenes book, which gives you concepts and a pilot issue in there and a bunch of back matter. If they bought that one and they wanted another book, they could go in the add-on section and just buy another book without adding any shipping, I believe. And then, so we threw in all the different prints.
So you added like a book as an add-on item.
Right. Yeah. So
going to checkout and it'll show them. Oh, that's very cool.
Exactly. So then Brandon was just working on some stickers today. I tweeted out about. So there's a sticker section if people want, some of those different prints and stuff like that. Like someone actually bought the book, like that featured perk, which is the 2 books, and then got the add-on of the Elliot Fernandez print.
Oh, very cool.
So that beautiful cover.
What you guys want to think about doing? It just kind of occurred to me now while we're talking is there are all sorts of, not all sorts of, but there are definitely like 80s Twitter accounts that'll show like shows from the 80s and like old 80s commercials and stuff.
Yeah, we just got noticed by one today. What was it called? It came from the 80s magazine.
Okay. I think you could like do some little bit of research on Twitter and just put 80s or whatever similar types of tags in there and search up a few and then tweet at those suckers because they would probably love something like this.
I actually went into the Miami Vice fan Facebook group and posted that in there, but it got like 1 like, which is ridiculous.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, you kind of never know. If a good example is Von Klaus from Monster MD. He just bothered everyone and
feels good at that.
Yeah, just bother him.
I try to.
basically copy and paste bother them essentially, and
Mhm.
most of them ignore you. He told me he sent a few hundreds of emails, and almost all of them ignore him, and a few didn't. And
Yeah, sure.
but you never know with campaigns too. Like you have a campaign, you launch it, it does okay, it does terrible, it does great. One of those three, and then it works. If something works, you do more of it. If it doesn't, then you keep your promises, and then you do the next cool idea. And you guys did other stuff that you guys have coming up. Looks amazing. That artwork looks fantastic.
Yeah. Really excited about that. Putting some stuff like that in CG Jumpstart.
Yeah.
Do you think Don Johnson has a Twitter account that I could tag? I just thought of that right now.
If he doesn't, someone else, probably many people are Don Johnson.
Don Johnson fan page.
Could well be. Yeah.
DeAndre Johnson. I don't see Don Johnson.
Get the guy that played Tubbs. We want him.
Yeah. Philip something.
He's in there.
Philip Michaels.
Yeah. Philip Michaels.
He's in there somewhere. Yeah. All right, gentlemen, let's wrap it up. Let's get some rest. This was a very successful night. It was great. Vinny had a lot of interesting things to say. I learned a lot.
That guy has so much information.
He knows a lot of people. Apparently, he's been doing stuff a long time. He's a great guy to have in Comicsgate. You guys are great guys to have in Comicsgate.
Thank you.
And I will make sure that the links for Magic Cop are in the description below, and also for Vinny's fantastic book. And guys, we will see each other again soon. Thanks for taking the time tonight.
Yeah.
And we will see you very soon on another one of these fun shows.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Have a great night, everybody.
Night.
All right.